I see 3:30 on the clock. Are we good to begin?
We're good to go, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Development Permit Panel meeting of Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. On the panel today, we have myself, Wayne Craig, General Manager, Planning and Development, Milton Chan, Director of Engineering, and Marie Fenwick, Director of Arts, Culture, and Heritage. The panel, also joining staff, we have a number of city staff from the Development Applications Division joining us, Josh Reese, Andrew Norton, Chris Bishop, Emma Lovass, and I believe that is it. I'm sorry if I've missed anyone. The panel deals with items of form and character, things such as parking, architecture, exterior lighting, vehicle access, landscaping, etc. The panel does not deal with items of land use or density, as those are established by City Council through the rezoning process. In terms of the agenda, the order of business for each item will be a presentation from the applicant, followed by staff comments. There will then be an opportunity for any panel members to ask questions of the applicant or staff. We will then hear any comments from the public, read any written letters into the record. That will be followed by panel deliberation. And then if endorsed, the application will proceed to City Council once all of the conditions have been fulfilled. Of note, items are non-delegable when they proceed to City Council, so if there are any interested members of the public here today that wish to make their views on these applications known, this is your opportunity. With that, I'll turn our attention to today's agenda. The first item on the agenda is a motion to adopt the minutes of the Development Permit Panel meeting held on August 27th of 2025. Thank you for moving that, Marie.
Seconded.
Thanks for seconding. All those in favor? Thank you. Those minutes are adopted. The first item on today's agenda is development permit number 24-012258. The applicant is Jim Ralph. The property location is 3200 number 3 Road. The recommendation is that a development permit be issued, which would permit the construction of a hotel and residential development at 3200 number 3 Road on a site zoned residential, limited commercial, and artist residence tenancy studio units, ZMU 25, Capstan Village City Center. Jim, will you be giving the presentation?
So I won't, but just to introduce myself, my name is Jim Ralph. I work for Pinnacle International, and we're here today to present a few of the changes that we've made in our application. And today we have Doug Nelson and David Kaepernick, who work for Bingham Hill Architects, who will be presenting the architectural side of what we've done. And we also have Dylan Chernoff, our landscape architect from Durante Krug. So I'm here available for questions. Anyone have any questions, but I will hand this over to David and Doug to start the presentation. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Doug Nelson from Bingham Hill Architect. I'm a partner at the firm. And as Jim pointed out, David Kaepernick will be he'll be running the slideshow for our benefit. This presentation outlines proposed changes to the Pinnacle Center at Capstan Village Phase 4. The following is a brief summary of these proposed changes. The original DP was issued for Phase 3 and 4 in late 2022, with building permits issued in early 2023. Phase 3, also known as Building J, seen in the background in that image, is a 14-story residential building under construction, but but nearing completion. Phase 4, the subject of this presentation, is a mixed-use building with 2 towers, Building K, 14-story building with residential and hotel uses, and Building L, 15-story building with hotel use. Last year, a portion of this project, Building L, was presented to DP panel for a proposed and supported change of use and form from the originally approved office use to the current hotel use. Currently, both buildings are under construction, with Building L permitted to proceed to only level 2 at this time until a new building permit is issued for the floors above. Today, we are presenting additional proposed revisions to the previously approved DP for the benefit of both residential and hotel uses, affecting both Building K and Building L as identified in this image. Proposed revisions affecting the exterior of the building include relocating the swimming pool from the courtyard at level 2 to the roof of Building L, revising residential floor plans at the north side of Building K, relocating structural columns to the exterior of the residential floors of Building K, revising the private roof decks of Building K, and associated landscape revisions. The project's located at the southeast corner of Number 3 Road and Sea Island Way. Consists of 2 towers, buildings K and L, over a common single-story commercial podium and 2 stories of underground parking. Building K on the south portion of the site, facing Number 3 Road to the west and Capstan Neighborhood Park to the south. Building L is on the north portion of the site, facing Number 3 Road and Sea Island Way. Context site photos. These are our Google Street View shots of the site and the neighborhood from May and June of 2024. The top row shows views of the site from Sea Island Way, with Phase 3 Building J under construction. Middle row are views of the site from Number 3 Road with the new Capstan station, which was approaching completion at the time. Bottom row shows views from Sexsmith Road, showing completed Pinnacle Phase 2 and the adjacent Concord Gardens projects. Current construction progress. These are our latest photos taken on site last week. The top left is a view of Building K from the park, showing construction progress up to level 10. Top right view is of Building L as viewed from Phase 3 building, showing construction progress up to level 2. And the bottom row shows, for reference, the Phase 3 under construction but nearing completion from Carscallon at left and from Sexsmith, the view to the right. With respect to the relevant zoning bylaw ZMU 25, the proposed revisions are limited to the number of residential units in Building K being reduced from 115 to 97. As the residential floor area is not changed, the number of family size units has increased from 48 to 68. The number of hotel suites in Building K is increased from 135 to 143. The number of hotel suites in Building L is increased from 315 to 351. The proposed usage, floor area, building height, and number of stories remain unchanged. Proposed revisions at level 1 include relocating the entry door for the restaurant along the south side of Building K to better suit the function and interior layout of the restaurant. Also, revising the water feature to a planter near the entrance of the auto court. A planter is added in the middle of the auto court to soften the hardscape, add visual interest to the space, and to aid in wayfinding for vehicles to loop around the planter to the hotel drop-off area. The hotel entry at the northwest corner of the auto court is reconfigured to provide a better entry condition. In response to concerns raised at the previous DP panel session last year regarding the potential for graffiti and vandalism at the service room exterior wall in the northeast corner, planters have been added in front of the wall to provide a green buffer, and the materiality of the wall has been revised from metal panel to glass spandrel. Level 2 proposed revisions are to the hotel non-residential amenity areas. Swimming pool and hot tub enclosure is relocated from this courtyard level to the roof of Building L and is replaced with a putting green and planters. The change room facilities in Building K are replaced with a small games room and 2 hotel suites, resulting in a small change to the exterior wall from a fenestration perspective. At the north side of the outdoor amenity space, 3 hotel suites have been removed to provide meeting rooms with direct access to and from the outdoor space. Additionally, visible at this level are 2 revised glass canopies at the auto court, providing better weather protection and identification for the individual hotel entrances below. I now hand off to Dylan Chernoff from Durante Kruk Limited to present the Level 1 and Level 2 landscape design.
Thank you, Doug. We'll be going back and forth on a couple of these, but Doug mentioned the 3 elements that were part of the changes for the landscape side of it. And as part of that change, the planting there, we added some annual planting so that it would better relate to the character of a hotel entry. And the size of that planting is good so that you have good vehicular movement within there. The planting along the base of the wall is something that would limit the access to the wall, as Doug mentioned. Next slide, please. With these spaces, with the rooftop changing so that the pool is now on the rooftop, the putting green allows us the opportunity to have a little fun with the space and have some added green right in the middle. We're looking at having a mound up to a central tree and some holes scattered throughout there. The other portion where the spill out is, if you look at the original scheme, it was broken up by a bunch of different planters. And with this space here, there is still a little bit of breakup of that patio, but it's much less, and it allows the operator to have a lot more flexible use of the space. And back to you, Doug.
Thanks, Dylan. The Level 6 typical hotel floors, as noted in the introduction, the columns at the residential floors of Building K have been moved to the exterior in order for this to work. Structurally, the columns at the top 2 floors of the hotel, Level 6 and 7, seen here, are extended through the exterior wall to align with the columns above. At the northeast corner of Building L, the hotel suites are reduced in size and reconfigured to provide additional suites per floor. This is typical of all the hotel floors in this location and has a minor effect on the exterior window patterning. Level 9 to 14 typical residential floors of Building K. At the residential floors of K, the small north-facing units have been reconfigured and combined to create 2-bedroom units. The floor plan of Building L as a hotel is narrower than the previous office form, creating substantially more space between the buildings and allowing the facade of Building K to be realigned or straightened out, removing the angled portions of walls. Starting at level 8, the first residential floor above the hotel levels, the perimeter columns are now moved to the exterior of the building, maximizing the usable interior space of each unit. The elevations in 3D images will show the columns are to be painted to match the adjacent materials and colors, providing only minor impact to the exterior form. As far as the roof plans go, Building K, additional private roof decks are now proposed with stair access from the individual suites to the top floor being removed and replaced with access by way of the common stairwells. Potentially, some of the roof decks could be associated with suites from other residential floors. Building L, swimming pool and common roof deck has been added for the benefit of the hotel guests. In support of the pool facility, 2 washrooms with changing areas and showers are also added at this level. Due to NAV Canada height restrictions covering this neighborhood, the main elevators are not able to access this floor due to their height requirements, so a separate platform lift and stair is located directly across from the elevators and provides convenient access from the top floor to the roof. I will now pass it back to Dylan to discuss the landscape design for the rooftops.
Thank you, Doug. We kept the patterning that we had in the original scheme that had the extensive green roof, and the other program was dropped in place and there's a little bit of planting that separates the grade change that happens between the two levels. As Doug had mentioned, we are restricted with what we can put up there as far as furnishings, such as umbrellas and other things. We need to stay under that NavCan ceiling. So we've just scattered some furniture here to show an indicative use and what it might look like. Next slide, please. With the updating of the layout of these patios, what this allows us to have is a lot easier maintenance access for each of these outdoor patios. We kept the patterning that we had originally on the green roof, and there is a little bit more extensive green roof. But the secondary benefit is that we end up with a lot more of these outdoor spaces for individuals, and we also end up with the privacy that happens between the units compared to what we had before. Doug.
Thanks, Tom. The building section through the courtyard shows the increased horizontal separation between the upper residential floors of Building K and the hotel floors of Building L. For the swimming pool and associated guardrails to fit under the NAV Canada height restriction, the floor-to-floor dimensions throughout Building L were slightly reduced to provide additional vertical space at the roof level. The north elevation of Building K, this is the elevation facing the courtyard and facing Building L. At ground level, the sloped glass facade at the retail units is revised to vertical glass. This was done to alleviate concerns regarding the performance of the envelope window system and the potential for future leaks, as well as concerns regarding usability of the floor areas adjacent to sloped glass within the retail units. From a design perspective, there was previously a complementary sloped glass portion of the office building, which now no longer exists in this design. The revision to vertical glass is not seen as a detriment to the overall design intent. At the auto court side, the revised canopy to the hotel entrance is visible. The exterior columns starting at level 6 and up are painted to match and blend with the adjacent materials and colors. At the residential floors starting at level 8, the exterior columns are also further obscured by the balconies and guardrails. Formally, the balconies, guardrails, and privacy screens of the modified residential floors are kept similar to the original design intent. South elevation of Building K, facing the new Capstan Neighborhood Park. Similar to the north elevation, the slope glass is revised at the ground level retail unit. The exterior columns from level 6 and up are painted to match the adjacent materials and colors and are obscured by balconies and guardrails at the residential floors. Excuse me. For the east elevation, facing the auto court and phase 3, at the ground level, new planters are visible at the auto court. The revised canopies are visible at the 2 hotel entrances. At Building K, the exterior columns are slightly visible from this view, and at Building L, the floor heights are slightly reduced to accommodate the rooftop pool. At the roof of Building L, the guardrails surrounding the deck are visible in elevation view, but they're generally pulled back from the primary roof edge, so they wouldn't be so visible from lower elevations. The glass in the guardrails is proposed to be translucent to reduce overlook to the adjacent residential units in Building K. In the west elevation, this is facing number 3 road and the Canada line. At the ground level retail units, sloped glass is revised to vertical. At Building K, the exterior columns are slightly visible from this angle. Building L, the floor heights are slightly reduced to accommodate the rooftop pool. Excuse me. North elevation of Building L, facing Sea Island Way. From the previous DP panel presentation, as mentioned earlier, there was concern regarding potential for graffiti and vandalism at the service room exterior wall in the northeast corner, which would be in the lower left corner of the view. Planters have been added in front of the wall to provide a green buffer, and the materiality of the wall revised from metal panel to glass spandrel. This resolution was submitted and accepted shortly after that DP panel presentation, so unfortunately our before image in this presentation is also showing the proposed resolution, with apologies. The floors above at the left side of this elevation are showing a revised window pattern due to the reconfiguration and addition of hotel suites to these floors. The materiality, color, and pattern is in keeping with the original design intent. And again, at the roof level, the guardrails for the pool and roof deck are visible as viewed in 2D elevation. South elevation of Building L, facing the courtyard and Building K. The courtyard, or the auto court side, the revised canopy to the hotel entrance is visible. At the courtyard level, the pool is removed and replaced with the putting green and landscape planters. And at the roof level, guardrails for the pool and roof deck are visible in elevation. The materials and colors are unchanged from the approved and prior DP. 3D view of Building K. The top two images are showing the northwest facade of Building K. The bottom two images showing the south facade of Building K. The revision to slope glass is visible at the southwest corner. The exterior columns painted to match are subtly visible in these images. Generally, the proposed form, massing, materiality of Building K is in keeping with the original design intent. Finally, 3D view of Building L. This view is from the corner of Number 3 Road and Sea Island Way. It shows a slight variation to Building L from the previous design in that the overall building height is slightly lower, as previously mentioned, to provide additional height at the roof level. Guardrails for the rooftop pool are visible in elevation, and a portion of the window pattern is subtly revised. Generally, the proposed form, massing, and materiality of Building L is also in keeping with the original design intent. And that's our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. It was very comprehensive. You can stop sharing screen. Josh, any staff comments?
Just a few comments, if I may, Mr. Chair. I echo your sentiments around the comprehensiveness of the presentation, so I'll just take a moment to highlight a few items. As the applicant did indicate, construction of Building L and K is currently underway. There is an associated servicing agreement with the proposed development that includes utility works, frontage improvements, including the future road connection between Number 3 Road and Carscallon Way, in addition to construction of adjacent parks. The proposed hotel use, height, and densities is consistent with the zone applicable to the site. The applicant, as part of consideration of the proposal, the applicant is required to register a legal agreement to ensure that the rooftop area is used in a manner that is consistent with the aeronautical zoning regulations respecting height. In addition, the applicant has also agreed to register a legal agreement with respect to use of the hotel suites and units, and to ensure that those units will not be stratified. Furthermore, the relocation of the pool to the upper level of Building L has been confirmed to be structurally feasible by the applicant's appropriate consultants. That concludes staff comments.
Thanks, Josh. Marie, Milton, any questions for staff or the applicant?
Yeah, just a couple questions for the applicant. One of them, you mentioned that the residential square footage was staying the same, but the number of units was being less. So is it all one bedrooms getting replaced by two bedrooms, or is it like studios, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedroom? Just a little bit of detail would be appreciated.
Oh yeah, we had a number of studios that we've combined into 1 bedrooms. We had too many studios.
Okay, so it's not, there's no new 2 bedrooms, it's combining studios into 1 bedroom. Apartments, okay. And then the second question is, why was the pool moved to the roof? Was it to get more amenity space for the putting green, or other reasons?
No, that's a really good question. I think that since we've added the hotel, we got close to 500 hotel units. The pool at the location was just too small. It's too small of an amenity space that wouldn't really work. The only room we had was to move it to the roof of Building L, and two, the old location of the pool was right across from the SkyTrain, and so every 20 minutes or so, you'd be you have the SkyTrain that would be coming past you and stuff like that. So, and the third thing was also just natural sunlight. You'd have the pool sandwiched in between two buildings. It wouldn't get a lot of sunlight, and so again, moving it to the roof just made a lot of sense.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation and for the work done on the wall where we had concerns at the last DPP around the graffiti. So it looks like the planters are there just to sort of break up the wall as opposed to preventing access to the wall. Is that correct?
Well, the nature of the planting will limit access to that wall. What we've done is we've put a hedge in there. So the ultimate height of that would be around 10 feet. So they'll start.
Okay, so it's actually preventing access as opposed to just sort of breaking up the flat surface.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. And I just had a question about, you were talking about the rooftop decks, and you said some of them would be associated with other floors. Are they all associated with individual units, or is there any kind of shared deck space on that roof?
So a number of the roof decks would be assigned. And I believe there is, Dylan, is there one shared deck?
We were going back and forth on that. I'll defer to the architectural team. They probably know the latest.
Yeah, there is no shared deck on Building K. We don't have an accessible route to actually allow for a shared deck to function up there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the revisions to the programming. I do appreciate the change in materiality at that northeast corner on the ground plane. Just a question, and not necessarily something related to form and character, but in terms of the ultimate real estate entity, are we looking at an airspace parcel subdivision or multiple stratas? Do we have an indication at this point?
It's a good question, Wayne. Right now we're preparing an airspace parcel application to separate out the residential units. The rest would be in the remainder.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Just encourage you to work with staff. Those applications can be quite complex, and especially given all the cross-access that's proposed in this. So encourage you to work with our approving officer so that there's no delays as you approach occupancy. Ristico, do we have any written correspondence or members of the public that wish to address the panel?
We have no members of the public, Mr. Chair, registered to speak on this application, and we have no correspondence for this application as well.
All right, thank you very much. That brings us to panel deliberation. Milton, Marie, either of you want to kick us off?
Go ahead, Marie.
Sure. Yeah, nothing further to add. Thank you for the presentation.
Anybody want to move the staff recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation.
Second.
All right. I don't think I have anything further to add. Just appreciate the attention to detail, and hope the rest of the construction process goes well. Can I have all those in favor? All right. Your project has been endorsed. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That brings us to the next item on today's agenda. It is Development Variance Permit 25-019-257. The applicant is Site Path Consulting Limited. The property location is 4611 Viking Way. The recommendation is that a development permit be issued which would vary the provisions of Richmond zoning bylaw 8500 to increase the maximum permitted height for an accessory structure from 20 meters to 27 meters to facilitate construction of a telecommunication monopole tower on a site zoned industrial business park IB1, and that Richmond City Council grant concurrence to the proposed telecommunication tower at 4611 Viking Way. Not sure who is giving the presentation on this one.
Mr. Chair. My name is Brian Gregg. I'm with SitePath Consulting, representing TELUS. So I can walk through the presentation now if you're ready.
Sure, go ahead.
Try to share my screen. Okay, is that visible?
Yes, we can see that.
Wonderful, thank you. So yeah, as noted, this is a proposed communication site. It's a monopole tower at 4611 Viking Way. Very briefly, the reason for the tower is largely driven by demand on the network. So it's not only just voice service that we're providing, we're trying to meet the demand that we're increasingly seeing from data-intensive devices like smartphones and tablets. And on this slide, you can see the rising demand starting from analog phones all the way up to people pulling data on devices like tablets and laptops, which require additional supporting infrastructure to support that demand. Getting right into coverage objectives, the primary reason for this proposed facility is to infill the existing coverage gaps that are in the light industrial and commercial areas surrounding the proposal. So essentially, those are the areas to the north of Highway 91, south of Bridgeport, and then the areas on the west and east side of Knight Street. Here you can see in the before image, the unshaded areas have very poor coverage, and then in the after, the purple areas will have reliable connectivity. So it'll be quite an improvement, and currently there is a fairly substantial coverage gap in a fairly large business area. There's a lot of business parks in this area, so it's a critical area to service. We do get a lot of customer complaints. And briefly, our site selection rationale, we were attracted to the site because of its zoning. It's zoned IB1 Industrial Business Park. We noticed that although we're not sort of strictly regulated by zoning as a federal use, that the Richmond zoning bylaw notes that utility minor is a permitted use in this particular IB1 zone, which seems to include unattended equipment, including equipment needed for the operation of telephone exchange services and other utility type services. So we thought that this particular location and this zone was an excellent alignment in terms of zoning. Additionally, the City of Richmond's telecom protocol, policy number 5045, specifically encourages the siting of towers in industrial areas and actually exempts consultation for towers in industrial zones as long as the tower is less than 30 meters and greater than 150 meters set back from any residential zone. And so I put this image at the bottom of the slide here showing a measurement. It's probably a little hard to see, but we're roughly 350 meters from the closest residential zone property to the west. So it greatly exceeds the minimum setback requirement that would result in an exemption from consultation. And then, as you can see, the land use context, you've got Knight Street directly to the west here, and then additional light industrial properties to the north, south, and east. And we're located within a fairly large light industrial business park. A question we often get is, why don't we co-locate on an existing tower structure? And so in this slide, I've attempted to demonstrate to you that we did look into this in detail. The closest tower is this red marker right here at 3600 number 6 road. It's an existing Rogers monopole. Unfortunately, it's only a 20-meter tall structure, and Rogers equipment is in the top half of the tower. We did submit a formal co-location application, and we were only offered 9 meters of height on that pole, which would put us, below many of the height of many of the buildings, and this would severely degrade our signal. So unfortunately, that was not feasible. Outside of that Rogers Tower, the only other antennas are these small cells that you can see, and an Omni antenna from Bell, which are basically really small scale installations that only service specific business parks or specific buildings. So not the kind of infrastructure we could readily share to cover the intended area. Here on this slide, you can see the proposed design. So what we've proposed is what we would call a flush-mounted monopole design, meaning that the antennas are mounted flush to the tower rather than projecting out on a pinwheel, as you sometimes may see. So this is a more slim type of a structure, as opposed to a monopole with a pinwheel or a lattice type tower or a guide tower that you sometimes see. So this is considered to be a more attractive type of a structure. And at the bottom of the pole, we're proposing some cedar fencing so that it's more attractive. And here at the bottom, you can see the site plan. We have access coming from the cul-de-sac at Viking Way, down on the south side or the rear side of the building, with the monopole and the compound in the southwest corner here of the property. This location is beneficial because it doesn't conflict with the day-to-day operations at the site. It's relatively out of sight for many of the adjacent tenants. And we're also located close to the electrical room, which is important for us because we need to deliver electricity to the compound. So there's a lot of practical aspects to the siting. Here we have a survey plan. It just shows in greater detail our compound and the dimensions. We're proposing to take up a small amount of a landscaped area where there's currently a light pole and basically 3 parking stalls. Here on this slide, you can see the pink area is our access right of way. So it's existing access through the parking lot. On this slide, there's a couple photo renderings, view northeast, looking across from Knight Street, and a view southeast along Knight Street. You can see the pole there. That's my final slide, but something I didn't touch on that I think is important to address is first and foremost, this facility has been approved by Transport Canada and NAV Canada, so they had no concerns with the height from an aeronautical safety perspective. And then the other aspect I should touch on is we have worked with your staff to propose some landscaping. So there'll be 24 emerald cedars proposed to the rear of the proposed compound, and in alignment with some existing landscaping. So we're going to actually improve and add to the landscaping that's there. And I guess my final comment would be there was some public notification for this done through your staff, and we also posted two signs on the subject property, one near Viking Way and one on Knight Street, to welcome public input. And up to this time, we've received no comments, no concerns, at least through myself and TELUS. So I'll leave it at that for now. Welcome any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that. You can stop sharing screen. Josh, any staff comments?
A few comments. As the applicant indicated, cedar fencing and additional landscaping is proposed to further screen the equipment located at the ground level, particularly screening from Highway 99. There is existing on-site landscaping, which is to be retained, in addition to the planting of the additional landscaping materials as indicated by the applicant. As indicated, the proposed location does encompass approximately 3 parking stalls. The site continues to be compliant with zoning and the required parking under the city zoning bylaw after the installation of the facility. The applicant has confirmed that the proposed monopole can also support and accommodate future co-location of future antennas. That is staff comments.
Thank you. Marie, Milton, any questions for staff or the applicant?
Thank you. You actually answered a couple of my questions already, which is what's the process you go through to determine whether or not co-location is feasible and whether or not this one would support future co-location. You spoke about the Transport Canada, NAV Canada approvals. Where does the CRTC approval fit into the process? Is that something you've already done, or do you do that after you get approval from the city?
Thank you. So for these for cell tower structures, the CRTC is not directly involved. It would go to Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, or ISED. And generally speaking, their role in this is fairly limited insofar as they tend to defer to the local government land use decision on our files. So if the City of Richmond gives TELUS land use concurrence, ISED would just review that we followed the correct process and then save that on file, and that would be it. There's no sort of additional approvals required from them.
Okay,
Does that
thank
answer
you.
your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Milton, any questions?
No questions from me.
All right, thanks. Brian, just one question related to co-location. The structure itself's engineered to facilitate future installment. What is the process? You did mention that you had requested co-location, I think, on the Rogers Tower. How would it work with this tower if another provider made such a request?
Yeah, great question. So each wireless carrier, so whether it's TELUS or Rogers or Freedom Mobile or another entity, they each seem to have a co-location department. And so because this is such a common request to share infrastructure, each company sort of has staffing in place to deal with these requests. And so there's well-established procedures to submit a co-location request. And essentially per the federal guidelines from ISED, like TELUS would be obligated to respond to a request for co-location and to offer a position on the tower. And then it would be up to the third party to determine, whether or not, the available positions would meet their needs. But we would have to basically offer a position on the structure, and that's per federal tower sharing requirements. So we would do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rustico, any written correspondence or members of the public wishing to address the panel today?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's no correspondence and no registered speakers for this application.
All right, that brings us to panel deliberation. Marie, Milton, anybody willing to move the staff recommendation or have further comments?
I'll move the recommendation.
Seconded.
All right, all those in favor? Thank you very much. Your application is being endorsed and will proceed to council once the prior two conditions have been addressed. That brings us to the next item on today's agenda, which is new business. Any new business, Josh?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just one item. We do not have any items currently scheduled for the next meeting of the Development Permit Panel, which is currently scheduled for September 24th. It would be in order for the panel to make a recommendation to cancel, to cancel that meeting.
All right.
Recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor of canceling the meeting? Thank you. That meeting on the 24th is canceled. May I have a motion to adjourn? We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.